Hello guys, welcome back to part 2 of our marathon using the newly revised Office Administration syllabus to study for our exam. If you have not yet seen part 1 of the video, please go to my channel and watch part 1. Alright guys, so we're going to begin. Students should be able to identify sources of information on job opportunities. Now, if they ask you what are some of the sources of information that you might get information about jobs, you can talk about newspapers, employment agency, internet. For example, the company website, you could go on the website to see if there's any job vacancies, personal contact, trade journals, company letters, magazines, and your guidance counselor could also be a source of information on job opportunities. Outline factors to be considered when seeking employment. All right, guys, so we're looking at the factors to consider when seeking employment or a job position. One of the factors that you need to consider is career interests. Now, when we talk about career interests, we are referring to the alignment of the job with your long-term career goals and aspirations. Now, considering career interest is crucial because it ensures that the position is a good fit for the individual's professional development and satisfaction. So if you go to university to study to become a teacher, you will want to apply for jobs within that career path. You don't want to apply for a job as a doctor when you went to study for teaching, right? So you have to ensure that the career path that you're seeking or the position that you're seeking aligns with your career goals and aspirations. Another factor that you have to consider is job descriptions. Now, when you're seeking a job, most time there is an outline of the responsibilities, duties, and requirements of a job. Now, understanding job descriptions will definitely help you to determine if they have the necessary skills and experience to needed to perform the job effectively. So when you're applying for the job, ensure that you read the job description to ensure that you have the necessary skills that will be needed to perform that job effectively. Another factor that you have to consider is personal tastes. And this is just referring to an individual preferences and likes. So while personal taste may influence job satisfaction, it is not necessarily a primary factor to consider when seeking a position. Another factor that you have to consider is training and qualifications. Now, what are your educational background? What skills, what certification does the job that you are applying for requires? Now, considering training and qualification is necessary in that it ensures that you have the necessary expertise to perform the job successfully. Salary and fringe benefits, that's something that another factor that you'll definitely want to consider when you are applying for a job. You'll want to look at the location. How far do you have to travel in order to reach your job in the mornings? All right, have to look at the image of the firm. Is it a firm that is has a reputable reputation? And you have to look for career advancement. Can you uplift yourself educational wise, career wise, while you are working with that company? Prepare applications for a job. So your teacher would have already teach you how to apply for jobs, how to prepare letters, how to write your curriculum vitae, your resume, and how to prepare your portfolio. Now, follow-up letters for each of the following conditions. No reply received to application. So you applied for a job and you did not receive any reply. Now, a follow-up letter for this situation should be polite and brief, inquiring about the status of the application. For example, you might say, Dear Mr. Brown, I'm writing to follow up on my job application for the job of a social studies teacher position at your company, which I submitted on the 5th of May 2025. I understand that you must received many applications, but I would appreciate any updates on the status of my application. Thank you for your time and consideration. Acceptance of job and non-acceptance of job. And for the three of these follow-up letters, you have to ensure that they are polite. So acceptance of job, a follow-up letter for accepting a job offer should express gratitude and confirm the details of the employment. All right. Non-acceptance of job. So even though the company called you for the job, you have decided that you're not going to accept it. A follow-up letter for declining a job offer should be professional and polite, thanking the employer for the opportunity. All right. Now, students should prepare other types of letters. I know your teacher would have taught you already how to prepare a resignation letter for a job, application for leave, application for vacation, and acknowledgement. Explain factors to be considered when preparing for a job interview. So you're preparing for your job interview, you have to be mindful of your attire. You have to be you have to ensure that you choose appropriate clothing for the interview. It is essential to make a good impression on the interviewer by dressing professionally and appropriately for the company culture. You have to think about factors such as the deportment when you're preparing for a job interview. Now, deportment just refers to one's behavior, your posture, and overall demeanor during the interview. So, good deportment includes maintaining eye contact with the interviewer, sitting up straight, and being respectful and courteous. You have to ensure that when you are preparing for an interview, you do a research on the organization. This involves gathering information about the company, its mission statement, values, products, and services. Researching the organization would also help you in understanding its needs and expectations, allowing them to tailor their responses and allow you to show interest in the position. Types of questions that may be asked by the interviewer and the interviewee. So this includes you have to ensure that you prepare common interview questions. Do your research. For example, why do you want to work for this company? That's a common question that is asked in all interview. So ensure that you do your research for common questions that are usually asked in an interview. All right. Portfolio um, evidence of qualifications. All right, so you can ensure that you have your little docket with your qualifications, your certificates, etc., to present at the interview if you are asked to present it. Demonstrate knowledge of the requirement of the work environment. So you are working now, you pass the interview, you are now working. You have to be knowledgeable of your work environment. You have to know what the labor laws are. You have to know what are the culture of your organization. So knowing the culture of the organization or your work environment helps you to determine if you're a good fit for that organization, if your personal values and work styles align with the organization culture. You are more likely to be happy and successful in your role if your culture and your values align with that of your workplace. All right, let's go down. Students should be able to describe the characteristics of an information management system. So on your CXC exam paper, if you are asked about the characteristics of an information management system, these are the answers that you are going to write. First, we need to know what is an information management system. Now, this is a set of processes and technologies used to manage data and information within an organization. Now, the characteristics of an information management system are, these are the answers that you're going to write. Data input, data storage. Now, data input refers to the process of entering data into a computer system, while data storage refers to the process of storing data in a computer system. So let's look at some examples of data input would include scanning documents using a scanner, typing data into a computer using a keyboard, uploading files from a mobile device. Example of data storage would be saving files on a hard drive, storing data in a cloud storage service such as Google Drive or Dropbox. Another characteristics of an information management system is database management system. Now, a database management system is a software that allows you to define, create, maintain, and manipulate databases. Example of a database management system would be Oracle, and that's Oracle is just a commercial relational database management system. You could also have MongoDB, which is a document-oriented database management system. Another characteristics of information management system is processing, batch and real time. Now, processing refers to the process of performing operations on data to produce meaningful results. There are two types of processing. You have batch processing and real-time processing. Now, batch processing involves processing data in batches, where data is collected and processed in groups. Examples of batch processing would include you're working in the office, you are processing payroll data for a company, generating reports on sales data, updating inventory levels. Those are examples of batch processing. Now, real-time processing involves processing data as it is generated in real time. Example, processing credit card transactions, monitoring stock prices, tracking website traffic. So those are examples of real-time data processing. Another characteristics of an information management system is retrieval of information, and this refers to the process of accessing and retrieving data from a computer system. Example, searching for files on a computer using a search engine, accessing data from a cloud storage service. Those would be examples of retrieval of information. All right, the rest I'm going to allow you to do your research. Characteristics of an effective record management system. Now, if you get any question asking about the characteristics of an effective record management system, these are your answers. Before we even go to the characteristics, we have to establish that an effective record management system is crucial for any organization to ensure that its records are managed efficiently and securely. Now, the characteristics of an effective record management system are access protocols. What do we mean by access protocols? This refers to the rules and procedures that governs who can access certain records within an organization. And I'm going to give you an example. For example, in a hospital setting, Only authorized personnel, such as doctors and nurses, should have access to patient medical records. Access protocols might include using ID cards, biometric scans to enter an area where sensitive records are stored. Another characteristic of an effective record management system is security. And security measures are vital, and we can agree to this, to protect records from unauthorized access, theft, or damage. Now, security can be physical, it could be in the form of a password. Now, physical security could involve locking filing cabinets or storing digital records on servers in secure data centers. Password protection is a common method used for digital records, requiring users to enter a password to access certain files or systems. Another characteristic of an effective record management system is accountability. Now, this characteristics ensures that there is a clear trail of who access or modify records, and when, for instance, electronic health records often have an audit trail that logs every time a record is accessed or changed, along with the identity of the person making the change. The final characteristics of an effective record management system is expansion. Now, an effective record management system should be able to grow with the organization. This means it should be scalable to accommodate increasing volumes of records over time. And an example could be, say, a company that starts small might initially use paper files, but later down, as the company starts to grow, they switch to digital storage solution as it expands. All right. So if they ask about the characteristics of an effective record management system, you refer to access to protocols, security, accountability, and expansion. Students should describe the duties of a record management clerk. The duties of a record management clerk are preparing documents, processing data, managing records, and retrieving information records. Students should maintain a records management system by electronic and other means. So if they ask you about classification of record management system, records can be classified or filed alphabetically, in alphabetical order, geographical order, subject, numerical, and chronological order. All right, guys, we're going down nice. Students should be able to. Oh, and we're still, the syllabus, using the syllabus, we're still talking about classification of record management system. So we did talk about alphabetical order, geographical order, subject, record can be classified numerically, chronologically. It can be classified using indexing method and procedures for cross-referencing. All right, so let's look at indexing and how that can be used. Now, indexing is a crucial process in information management that enables efficient retrieval of data by creating a system of references. Now, different methods and procedures for cross-referencing includes, so if they ask anything about cross-referencing, you should be talking about outsheets. Now, outsheets are used to keep track of files or documents that have been removed from their storage location. So when a file is taken out, an outsheet is placed in its position, indicating who has taken the file and when it is expected to be returned. This method helps prevent loss of files and ensure that they can be easily located when needed. And I'm going to give you an example as usual. So in a library, an outsheet might be used to track books that have been borrowed by students. So the sheet would include the title of the book, the borrower's name, and the due date for return. What do we mean by tickler file? A tickler file is a system used to remind individuals of upcoming events or deadlines. All right, it consists of a series of folders or cards labeled with dates, and documents or notes are placed in the corresponding folder according to their due date. Example, a tickler file might be used by a project manager to keep track of deadline for various tasks. Each folder would represent a specific date, and notes or documents related to tasks due on that date would be placed inside. Another cross-referencing method is card indicators. These are physical cards used to mark the location of specific information within a larger collection of data. Example, in a filing cabinet, card indicators might be used to mark the beginning of each new category or section. This allows users to quickly locate the information they need without having to search throughout the entire cabinet. Another cross-referencing method is coloring code, and this involves using different colors to categorize and differentiate between various types of information. Example, a company might use a coloring code to distinguish between different departments or projects. Outline the procedures for dealing with inactive files. Outline the procedures for dealing with inactive files. Now, what do we mean by inactive files? These are documents or records that are no longer needed for daily operations, but they must be retained for legal, historical, or other purposes. Now, some of the method and procedures for dealing with inactive files are use of microfilming. Now, when we talk about microfilming, this involves photographing documents and storing them on microfilm rolls. This method reduces physical storage space and allows for easy retrieval of documents. Example, say there's a large law firm. They are using microfilming to store all case files. So they photograph each document and store the microfilm rolls in a secure, climate-controlled facility. When needed, they can retrieve the microfilm and view the document using a microfilm reader. Another method for dealing with inactive file is retention periods. So this refers to the length of time that inactive files must be kept before they can be disposed of. Example, a company has a policy to retain financial documents for 7 years. After 7 years, they review the records and either destroy them or archive them for longer term storage. Another method for dealing with inactive file disposal of files. This involves securely destroying documents that are no longer needed or have exceeded their retention period. For example, a hospital disposes of patient records that are no longer needed by shredding them and then recycling the paper. They use a secure shredding service to ensure that sensitive information is protected. And we're not going to look at everything. Let's look at electronic documents and record management system. Now, electronic documents and record management system involves using digital systems to create, store, and manage inactive files. Example, a government agency uses an electronic document management system to store and manage inactive files. They use metadata tags and search functions to quickly locate and retrieve documents as needed. So those were the method and procedures for dealing with inactive files. Describe the main legal stipulations governing access to and retention of documents. So what are the regulations when it comes on to governing access to and retention of documents? So the main legal stipulation governing access to and retention of documents. First, the right of access. All right, so this refers to the legal right of individuals to access information held by public bodies or private organizations. For instance, in many countries, citizens have the right to request and obtain copies of public records, such as government documents, meeting minutes, or financial reports. And I'm going to use an example. So, say for instance, a journalist requests access to a city's budget document under the Freedom of Information Act to investigate allegations of corruption. So that would be the right to access. What do we mean by limitations on the right to access? Now, these are exceptions or restrictions placed on the right of access to protect sensitive information, national security, or individual privacy. For example, certain government records may be classified as top secret and not accessible to the public. Infringement of copyright. This occurs when someone uses, reproduces, or distributes copyrighted material without permission from the copyright owner. So, for example, a student downloads a copyrighted textbook from the internet without paying for it or obtaining permission from the publisher. Another regulation in regards to govern access and retention of documents. Defamation. Now, defamation is the act of making false statements that harm someone's reputation. It can be spoken or written. Example, a blogger publishes an article accusing a local business owner of fraud without providing evidence damaging their reputation. Another regulation when it comes on to govern access to and retention of documents, breaches of confidence. This occurs when confidential information is disclosed without consent, often causing harm to the person or organization that shares the information. Example, a former employee of an organization, so you no longer work with that organization, reveals trade secrets of their previous company to a competitor. So you used to work with an organization, you know some of the secrets of the organization because you were once an employee there. Now that you're stopped working there, you choose to leak those secrets to another organization, which is a competitor of your former organization. All right, so that would definitely be breach of confidence. Let's look at one more before we go. Let's look at Freedom of Information Act. Now, this is a law that allows citizens to access certain government records and information, promoting transparency and accountability. Example of Freedom of Information Act: a citizen requests access to a government environmental impact assessment report under the Freedom of Information Act to understand the potential effect of a new development project. So as a citizen, you have a right to request report on any policy or any initiative that the government have put in place. Students should be able to explain the use of filing equipment and supplies in records and information management. Now, this is quite easy. Filing equipment and supplies includes filing cabinets and folders, index cards, minute sheets, charge out cards, dividers, treasury tax, fasteners, microfilm, external storage. All of those are examples of filing equipment. All right, let's go to differentiate and centralize and departmental records management system. Differentiate, between centralized and departmental records management systems. So what's the difference between centralized and departmental record management system? And we're also going to look at advantages and disadvantages of both. I'm going to start by looking at what is a centralized record management system. Now, this is just a single unified system that manages all records within an organization. Now, this type of system is typically used in large organizations where records are generated and used across multiple departments. Now, what are the advantages of centralized record management systems? It improves control and security, it increases efficiency, because you're able to streamline records managing processes, reduce the time and effort required to manage records. This leads to increased productivity and efficiency. Another advantage of a centralized management system is that it enhances collaboration. So a centralized system enables multiple departments to access and share records, promoting collaboration and communication. A disadvantage of this system is that it's high cost. So implementing and maintaining a centralized record management system can be expensive, especially for a small organization. Limited flexibility. So a centralized system may not be flexible enough to accommodate the unique needs of different departments or teams. Now we're going to look at department decentralized record management system. So we look at centralized. Now we're going to look at department decentralized record management system and its advantages and disadvantages. Now a departmental or decentralized record management system, this is just a system where each department or team manages its own records. So this type of system is typically used in small organizations or organizations with multiple locations. Advantages of this system is that it's very flexible because the department system allows each department to manage its own records in a way that best suits its needs. It's lower cost comparing to the centralized system, which is high cost, because implementing and maintaining a departmental system can be less expensive than a centralized system. Disadvantages of the departmental record management system: duplication of efforts. So departments may duplicate effort and resources when managing records. Another disadvantage of this system is security risk, because this can increase the risk of records being lost, stolen, or damaged. Now, the syllabus is asking about organization and operation of records management systems for small and large scale businesses. Now, the organization and operation of records management systems varies depending on the size and the complexity of the business. So we're going to look at a small scale business. Now, for a small scale business, they might need a simple filing system, which can be used to manage records with files organized alphabetically or chronologically. In a small scale business, a record management system that they could use is a digital storage. For example, they could just use a cloud storage or external archive. In a small scale business, A record management system that they could use would be manual processes such as paper-based filing and retrieval, which can be used to manage records. Let's look at a large-scale business now. In a large-scale business, a record management system that they could use is a centralized database. And this can be used to store and manage records with access controls and security measures in place. They could choose to use a specialized software, such as a record management software, which can be used to manage records and ensure compliance with regulatory requirements. All right, guys, so if they ask you about this on your exam, you should do very well. All right, going down nicely. We are going down nicely, guys. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment, guys. Give me a thumbs up. And remember to watch the ads in order to support my channel. Now we're at section B, which is reception and hospitality. Students should be able to assess the contribution of the reception desks to the welfare of the organization. Now, why do we need reception desks in our organizations? Well, to maintain effective interpersonal relationships between the organization and members of the public, and to promote goodwill and a positive image of the business. Identify the duties and attributes of a receptionist. Duties and responsibilities of a receptionist includes receiving and screening visitors, introducing visitors using appropriate protocol, maintaining the reception register, whether they're going to do it manually or electronically, operating a switchboard, receiving letters and parcels, managing and maintaining the reception area, and receiving and filing business cards. So those are the duties and responsibilities of a receptionist. Now, what are the attributes of a receptionist? Well, to be a receptionist, appropriate personal appearance and grooming, because you are representing the face of the company. Whenever a customer walks in, you're the first image of the business. Good temperament, willingness to use initiative, tact, and articulate. So those were the attributes of a receptionist. Students should be able to manage appointments for an executive using electronic or manual systems. Now, managing appointments. Now, these are the procedures for managing appointments. Procedures for managing appointments includes, so one of the aspects of appointment management include making and canceling appointments on behalf of an executive. Now, this option emphasizes the importance of having a clear procedure in place for managing an executive appointments. This includes scheduling new appointments, canceling existing appointments, rescheduling appointments as needed. For example, an administrative assistant may use a shared calendar to schedule meetings on behalf of their executive, ensuring that all parties are informed and available at the designated time. Maintaining a diary. Maintaining a diary is another very essential aspect of appointment management. A diary can be physical or digital and serves as a central repository for tracking appointments, meetings, and deadlines. For instance, a personal assistant might use a digital diary to keep track of their executive appointments, set reminders, and receive notifications about upcoming events. Another part of managing appointment is rescheduling. Now, This is often necessary due to unforeseen circumstances or changes in priorities, So this requires effective communication with all parties involved to find alternative dates and time that work for everyone. So for example, if an executive needs to reschedule a meeting due to a sudden change in their schedule, their administrative assistant should need to contact the other attendees, propose new dates and times, and update the calendar accordingly. Online schedules, now this is a thing today, have become increasingly popular, offering a convenient way to manage appointments and share availability with others. This tool often includes features such as automated reminders, calendar integration, and real-time updates. For instance, a business might use an online scheduling tool to allow clients to book appointments directly, reducing the need for back and forth communication and minimizing the risk of double bookings. All right, so those are some of the ways you can manage appointment using electronic or manual system. Explain the importance and use of electronic and manual reminder systems. Now, as we know, reminder systems are essential tools for individuals and organizations to stay organized, manage time effectively, and meet deadlines. Now, the three reminder systems that the syllabus talk about are the tickler files, diaries, and calendars, which can be done electronically or manually. We did mention in the previous video how does the tickler system or the tickler file work, but we'll do it again for people who are just watching this video. So this is just a physical or digital system used to store and track documents, tasks, or events that require follow-up or action at a later date. Example, a sales representative might use a tickler file to track customer follow-ups. So they place a note or document in the folder labeled March 15th to remind them to call a customer on that date to discuss a potential sale. All right, let's look at diaries as reminder system. All right, so we know that a diary is a personal record book used to record appointments, event tasks, and notes. It can be physical or digital and is often used for short-term planning and organization. Calendars. A calendar is a visual representation of days, weeks, months, or years used to plan and organize events, appointments, and tasks. Calendars can be physical, which means manual, or they can be digital, electronically. So a project manager might use an electronic calendar to schedule team meetings, deadlines, and milestones. All right. So if they ask about the importance and use of the following reminder systems, you should be able to get full mark for that question. Now we're going to look at the section which speaks about meetings. Students should be able to define terms associated with business meetings. And for time, I know that your teacher would have already given you the meaning of these terms. So we're going to just go through them, go back in your journal, not your journals, go back in your notebooks and look for the meaning of these words. Students should be able to prepare documents associated with meetings. So you should know how to prepare various documents used at meetings, such as a notice, agenda, and minutes. Discuss the roles of personnel associated with meetings. So whenever we're going to have a meeting, these are some of the personnels that will be present for that meeting, and we're going to look at their roles. So we have the chairperson, secretary, treasurer, proxy, and ex officio. So we're going to look at these. A few, I'm not going to do all the personnels. See if we can do 2 or 3 and their roles and responsibilities. Now, students, we know that meetings are essential part of any organization, right? And they require careful planning and execution to ensure their success. Now, to achieve this, we have various personnel which are assigned specific roles and functions. I'm going to look at a few of these. We're going to look at the chair. Now, who is the chair and what is the chair's roles and function? The chair is responsible for leading the meeting, ensuring that it runs smoothly, and making sure that all participants have a chance to contribute. The chair's primary function is to maintain order and facilitate discussion. The secretary is responsible for taking minutes during the meeting, recording decisions and actions assigned to individuals. The treasurer is responsible for managing the organization finances, including budgeting, accounting, and financial reporting. The proxy is someone who represents another person at a meeting, often due to the person's absence. So if John is unable to attend a meeting, he might appoint his colleague Jane as his proxy. Jane would then vote on John's behalf during the meeting. An ex officio member is someone who holds a position by virtue of another office or position they hold. For example, the CEO of a company might be an ex officio member of the board of directors, meaning that they are automatically a part of the board due to their position as CEO. All right, let's go down. Students should be able to list the various types of meetings. So meetings can be classified as formal or informal. Examples of formal meetings include general meetings, annual general meetings, extraordinary general meetings, board and committee meetings, and statutory meetings. Those are examples of formal meetings. Examples of informal meetings include staff meeting and departmental meeting. Organize different types of meetings, the importance of meetings and their purposes. Should I go through this? Requirements before, during, and after meeting? All right, let's see if we can run through this quickly, guys. So let's look at the importance of meetings and their purposes. Just a summary, meetings are essential part of any organization, serving as a platform for communication. When we meet, we communicate. We have to get involved in decision making about the organization. We collaborate among team members. The purpose of meeting can vary depending on the context, but they generally aim to facilitate discussion, share information, and drive progress towards common goals. Requirements before, during, and after meetings. So one of the requirements is supplies and equipment for different meetings. Before the meeting, you might have to set up your projector and screen for presentation or slideshow or a video conferencing. You might need a whiteboard or a flip chart to brainstorm sessions. You might need other visual equipment for virtual meetings and webinars. You might also need refreshment to set up refreshments for longer meetings or workshop to keep attendees energized and focused. Also, we have to look at comfortable seatings before the meeting to ensure that attendees can sit comfortable throughout the meeting. Meeting protocol, for example, yes, we did look at seating arrangements, arrange seating to facilitate communication and interaction among attendees. So, and the seating arrangement in a meeting is important too. You might choose to use a circular seating arrangement, and this will definitely encourage open discussion. Agenda. Create a clear agenda outlining the meeting's objectives, topics to be discussed, and time allocated for each topic. Time management. Establish a start and end time for the meeting and stick to it to maintain focus and productivity. Roles and responsibilities. Assign roles such as chairperson, note taker, and timekeeper to ensure the meeting runs smoothly. We're going to look at Robert's Rule of Order governing meeting, and it says when you're planning your meeting, you should have your introduction and your welcome. You should have approval of agenda, allow attendees to review and approve the agenda before discussion. Robert's Rule of Order governing meetings states that in terms of discussion and debates, you should encourage open discussion and debate on each topic. Voting, use a voting system to make decisions, ensure that all attendees have a say. Your meeting should have an adjournment. Formally adjourn the meeting, summarizing key points and actions items. Discuss basic legal requirements of annual general meetings. Knowledge of the following acts and terms. So whenever you're planning your general meetings, you should have Company Act of relevant country, management structure of companies, officers, shareholders of companies, meeting proxies, corporate records, and articles of incorporation. Students should be able to outline the follow procedures related to decisions made at meetings. So the follow procedures related to decisions made at meetings, you should filing and indexing of meetings, act on decisions taken at the meeting, circulation of action sheet, and circulation of minutes. Alright, and we are going down nicely, guys. Please remember to like and share this video and to leave a comment, subscribe, and turn on your notification video. Travel arrangements. Students should be able to outline the types of information and services required for travel. You need your tickets or e-tickets, preparation of itineraries, scheduling of appointments, making hotel reservations, and preparing travel folders, time zones and their significance, expression of time in 12-hour, 24-hour format, procedures for making travel arrangements, preferred dates of travel. You should have preferred time of travel, selecting the appropriate carrier for the destination, asserting health and visual requirements, restrictions for entertaining destination, alternative travel routes and costs, and other services such as accommodation, travel tours that may be made. Explain the necessity for various travel documents. When we talk about travel documents, as you know, we are looking at passport, visa, entry permit, and health certificate. Now it says, yeah, those are some of the documents that may be required for traveling. Students should be able to determine monetary instruments for use during traveling. So if you're traveling, you're going to have to spend money, so you might use your traveler's check, debit or credit card, letters of credit, bank draft, or you might just use cash. All right, going down nicely. Students should be able to describe, all right, so we're finished with traveling and we're looking at human resource management. Describe the functions of the Human Resource Management Office. The role and functions of the Human Resource Management Office are recruitment. If you're seeking new employers, you go through the HR office. Induction. New employers are added to the company. HR is responsible for induction of those members. Deployment, appraisal, training, staff welfare, planning staff trips, disciplinary procedures, job descriptions. Human Resource Management Office, they are responsible for all of this. All right. Relationship with other departments and importance of the Human Resource Management Office. We're going to also look at duties and attributes of a clerk in the Human Resource Management Office. Now, the Human Resource Office or the HR Office plays a vital role in an organization, and its relationship with other departments is crucial for the smooth functioning of the company. So I'm going to give you some examples, a few examples of how HR interacts with other departments. When it comes on to recruitment and hiring, all departments, HR have to interact with them. When it comes on to relationship, HR works closely with department managers to identify staff needs, development, develop job descriptions, and conduct interviews to fill open positions. All right. The HR department work with other departments. When it comes on to employee onboarding, induction of new employee, they have to work with all departments. When it comes on to performance management, HR work with department managers to develop performance management system, conduct performance evaluations, and provide feedbacks to employees. Duties and attributes of a clerk in the Human Resource Management Office includes maintaining database of personal records, and this is a crucial duty for a clerk in HR office because this involves creating and updating employee records, including personal details, job descriptions, performance evaluations, and benefits information. Another duty and attribute of a clerk in the HR department is to preparing interviews. So this involves scheduled interviews, sending out invitations to candidates, and ensuring that all necessary materials are available for the interview panel. For example, if a company is hiring for a new position, the clerk coordinates with the hiring manager to schedule interviews with shortlisted candidates and prepare the necessary documents such as resume and job descriptions. Another duty of the clerk in the HR department is attending to staff welfare. This includes providing support and guidance to employees on company policies and procedures, addressing employees' concerns and grievances, and facilitating access to employee benefits and services. They also, yeah, we looked at all of them. Attributes of a clerk in the HR office includes that individual has to display confidentiality, patience, and tact. Students should identify the benefits of legislation related to workers' welfare. So benefits as outlined in, we're going to look at the benefit, some of the benefits outlined in the statutory the provisions for employee protection, the ILO Convention, Occupational Safety and Health Act, and collective agreements. We might just look at one benefit from each of them. So the statutory provisions of employee protection refer to laws and regulations that govern employees' protection. Example, the Fair Labor Standard Act. In the I don't know why I'm giving an example in the US, but I'll use it anyhow because that's the one that is on the top of my head now. So the Fair Labor Standard Act in the United States is a statutory provision that sets minimum wage and overtime pay requirement for employees. For example, an employee work 40 hours a week at a minimum wage of $7.25 per hour would be entitled to $290 in a weekly pay. If they work more than 40 hours, they would receive overtime pay at a rate of 1.5 times their regular hourly wage. Benefits of the employee in terms of the ILO Convention. The International Labour Organization is a specialized agency of the United Nations that promotes social and economic justice by setting labor standards. Example, let's look at the Factory Act of 1947 in India is an example of an ILO convention. This act requires employers to provide protective clothing and gear to employees working in hazardous conditions. And for the ILO convention, let's look at an example closer to home. Suppose we have a company in Jamaica, right, that operates in the tourism industry, and the company has a HR department that is responsible for managing employee relations, benefits, and training. The statutory provisions for employee protection. In Jamaica, the Labor Relations and Industrial Disputers and the Factories Act are two key statutory provisions that govern employee protection in Jamaica. Example, the Occupational Safety and Health Act in Jamaica requires employees to provide a safe working environment for employees. For instance, an employer in the tourism industry might be required to provide safety training to employees who work with hazardous materials, such as cleaning chemicals. And this not only applies to Jamaica, but other Caribbean countries. ILO Convention, Jamaica has ratified several ILO conventions, including those related to occupational safety and health. Example, the ILO Occupational Safety and Health Convention requires employees to provide a safe working environment for employees and to implement measures to prevent workplace injuries and illnesses. All right, so guys, you can read up on the collective agreement because it's a lot of work, guys. So we need to cover as much as possible. And remember, this is just revision. Maintain records used in a human resource office. Now, how do we maintain records in the HR office? Some of the records that are found in an HR office are, we will find contracts of employment, service records, type of leaves, personal history records. You will find appraisal forms in a HR office, job specification letters, job description. So how do we maintain these records that are used in the HR office? So HR office has to ensure that they maintain or secure these documents. Contract of employers, that includes salaries, benefits, and responsibilities of employers. You don't want everyone to be seeing those documents, types of leaves, whether the person is on who got vacation leave, sick leave, maternity leave. You don't want people to be looking at all those personal records, right? So you have to ensure that these records are maintained securely. Describe the factors that contribute to employee labor turnover in an organization, and we're going to look at internal factors and external factors that contributes to employee labor turnover in an organization. So why do employees leave an organization? Internal reasons: working conditions, low salary, lack of job satisfaction, lack of training opportunities, redundancy, and resignation, and they might resign. External factors that may cause a turnover in an organization: state of the economy and better opportunities. Human resource management, we are continuing. You could also have employees leaving an organization because of migration, globalization, or competition for job placement. Now we are at the accounts and financial services. Describe the role and functions of the accounts office. And I don't want this video to be too long. So the role and functions of the account office includes preparing payroll, credit control, the account office also, where am I? The account office also write checks. The account office, role and functions, sorry guys, role and functions of the account office: preparation of payroll, credit control, treatment of debit and credit notes, preparation of audit, collection of accounts. Duties of a clerk in the account office: preparing payroll. So if you imagine yourself working in the accounts office as a clerk, you have to prepare payroll, write checks, reconcile accounts, making ledger entries, preparing statement of accounts. If you're a clerk in the account office, you are expected to have integrity. You are expected to be confidential and reliable. Your CXC expect you to prepare simple documents in the account office. So they might ask you to prepare a pay slip on the exam or payroll. They might ask you to prepare a memorandum, a currency memorandum, a check. All right. So make sure you know how to prepare any one of these guys, because you don't know which one of these they'll be asking you about. Identify resources used in the accounts office. And we're going to look at resources in terms of hardware and software resources. If you are writing about hardware resources, you are talking about calculators, adding machines, computers, and printers, and scanners, and copiers. These are physical, tangible things that you can see and touch. If you're looking at software resources, you're talking about accounting packages and spreadsheet packages. Identify types of financial institutions. These are credit unions, commercial banks, central banks, insurance companies, offshore institutions, investment companies. Outline the procedures for making and receiving different types of payments. So if you get any question asking about the procedures for making and receiving different types of payments, payments can be given through financial institutions by cash, checks, credit cards, money orders, postal orders, electronic transfers, standing orders, bank drafts, and letters of credit. Interpret the information on checks. So they might give you a check on the you might get a check on the paper, and maybe you'll have to identify the type of check that is being shown. Is it an open check? Is it a certified manufacturer's check? Is it a counter check, a cross check, or is it a post dated check? Interpret entries in a bank statement. Identification and interpretation of entries in a bank statement. So they might give you a blank bank statement to complete, and you'll have to write in the debit and credit entries, service charges, outstanding checks, outstanding deposits, standing orders, etc. All right, so you might be asked to prepare petty cash records. What are the procedures for the payment and control of petty cash using the Impress system? You must know the procedure for vouchers, cash disbursement sheets, and summarizing expenses. So if they ask you a question for this, these are the content that you're going to write on that question. Describe the functions of the Procurement and Inventory Management Office. Role and functions of the Procurement Office includes determine items to purchase. They have to liaise with other departments and manage inventory. You must know what the meaning of these words mean. What is the meaning of the following words? Free on board, errors and omissions, cash on delivery, excluding workers, discounts. What are the duties of a purchasing clerk? Preparing and processing purchase and stock requisitions, filing of purchasing records, maintaining stock records, maintaining database of supplier records, verifying orders received. Attributes of a purchasing clerk. If you work in the purchasing office, you have to have integrity, honesty, initiative, and detail oriented. You have to be detail oriented. Outline procedures for purchasing goods and services and acquiring services. Factors influencing procedures includes urgency. How quick do you want the goods or services? What's the cost? Incentives. When will it be available? Procedures for purchasing. You have to think about catalogs and price lists, tenders, quotations, e-commerce, order placement. Prepare documents using the purchase of goods and services. So you might be asked to prepare a requisition form or an order form. Explain the importance of inventory management. It helps to prevention of preferage, control of inventory, signaling of market trends, availability of capital. The inventory management system helps availability of capital and just-in-time JIT. Maintain stock records and electronic stock records, stock requisition forms and stock cards, storage of office supplies, reporting on stock levels, use of software and electronic device in stock control. I don't want this video to be too long, guys. Let me see. Students should be able to explain the functions of staff involved in sales, marketing, and customer service. So, functions of the sales office includes maintenance of sale records, calculation of commissions and discounts, stock control, liaising with other departments, and customer follow-up. Functions of the marketing office includes organizing promotional activities, designing marketing strategies, budgeting, advertising, branding, liaising with advertising entities, internal and external to the office, developing new markets, new products. Functions of the customer service department: ensure customer satisfaction, handle customer complaints, advise customer on product offerings, answer questions and queries liaise between customer and company. Students should be able to identify duties of a clerk in the sales office. If you work in the sales office, your duty will include preparing sales documents, filing of sale records, and maintaining mailing lists. Duties of a marketing clerk: assisting in preparing advertisement material, assisting with promotional activities, maintaining mail lists and records, assist in preparing press releases, excuse me. Duties of a clerk in the customer services department: interface with customer, liaise between customer and company, inform consumers on promotions and offers, answer consumer queries. Identify skills required by a clerk in the sales, marketing, and customer services office. So the skills required of a clerk in the sales office: basic information of technology, proficiency in the use of productivity tools. You must be knowledgeable about data entry, proficiency in the use of organization tools, filing, and literacy numeracy. Students should be able to prepare documents using sales and marketing. So guys, while you are listening to this video, go back to your textbook or to your notebook to look at how to prepare each of these documents. So if you get a question asking you to prepare a quotation, you should be able to do so. To prepare an invoice or pro forma invoices, you must be able to do so. Distinguish among the different types of discounts. So the different types of discounts are trade, cash, special loyalty cards, quantity, and goods on consignment. So let's see if we have time, we can go through the different types of discounts and maybe give example of each. So what is a trade discount? Well, a trade discount is a reduction in the price of goods or services offered to businesses or individuals who purchase in large quantities or are part of a specific trade or industry. A cash discount is a reduction in the price of goods and services offered to customers who pay their bills promptly, usually within a specific time frame. Special loyalty cards offers discounts to customers who have membership or loyalty program with a particular business. Quantity discount is a reduction in the price of goods or services offered to customers who purchase large quantities. Goods on consignment are this is not usually a type of discount, but rather a business arrangement where a seller agrees to sell goods on behalf of the owner who only pays for the goods once they are sold. And that's it. Those are the types of discounts. Alright guys, I want to close this video. Outline the functions of the corporate communication clerk. The functions of the corporate communication clerk: assist in promoting and enhancing the corporate image of the company, interfacing with media houses, advertising agencies, producing company newsletter, magazine, calendar, upkeep of company's website, planning Family Day activities and coordinating and responding and sponsoring events that show the company's corporate social responsibility. All right, guys, so we're going to stop. Students should be able to explain the functions of the operations, dispatch, and transport office. The functions of the operations office includes coordinating activities relating to production, protecting workers and the environment, maintenance of factory records, costing of finished products, and liaising with other departments. Function of the dispatch office: maintain documents for dispatch of goods, maintain database of couriers, contractors, agencies, work in collaboration with sales office, adhere to statutory requirements, coordination of delivery of goods. Functions of the transport office: maintain transportation records, maintain destination sheets, liaise with customers, and maintenance of vehicles. Duties of a clerk in the operation office includes preparation of shift roster, preparation of daily production reports, preparation of documents used in production, and completion of forms used in factory office, for example, job cards, job cost cards, planning masters, etc. Duties of a clerk in a dispatch office: completion of duties for dispatch goods, storage of information of courier employed, maintaining database of couriers, transportation contractors, liaising with sales, customer service, and marketing departments. Duties of a clerk in the transportation office: maintaining transportation records, maintaining destination sheets, liaise with customers, and schedule maintenance of vehicles. Interpret information on prepare documents using operations, dispatch, and transportation documents. So I guess you should be able to answer questions about these documents if you are given them on your exam. Delivery schedules, destination sheets, delivery notes. So you can just take your journals, not your journals, take your notebooks and your textbooks and quickly look back at these documents: air bills, manifest, export and import license. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this marathon of the office administration revised syllabus. Wishing you all the best on your exam. Please remember to like, share, guys, leave a comment, like the video, subscribe, and share the video to your friends if you have to. So this is part 2. I'm not sure if we're going to do another video. I think we're going to stop at part 2. If you have not yet seen part 1, you can go over to my channel to check that out. Alright guys, see you in another video.